Hello everyone, welcome back to Crossblitz. Today I'll be tackling the last boss of the Starscape Plains, little Kazoo over here. So, um, Kazoo is a minion spam deck. So, what he's gonna do for the most part is summon as many little 1/1s as possible, play minions that buff all minions on the board, um, and basically try to overwhelm you with sheer numbers, um, relying on the fact that it's difficult to block every column at once, um, and yeah, just chip you down very heavily. He has an ult where if he summons enough groupies, which is a 1/1 purple minion, he'll fill the board with a bunch of crowd surfers, which are also 1/1s that can be buffed. He also has a relic where whenever minions without abilities, uh, including groupies for the most part, die, they will turn into different 1/1s that will also deal damage to minions on the board as a death rattle, which grants him even more board control because nothing on your board is able to survive for very long. Even if you manage to clear out his board, he'll get a resummon and then he can take care of your minions once those die. Uh, main he also has 50 HP, by the way, which is the highest base HP of any boss in the game. You can see here it goes up to 40. Here it goes up to 45. Goes up to 45. Goes up to 40. There is technically Sting, who gets plus 10 armor from the difficulty modifier, so Kazoo is tied with Sting in that regard. He does have some lifesteal minions in the deck though, so that in conjunction with his sheer amount of HP means it's also very difficult to aggro that guy down. Thankfully, his strategy does have very specific counters. So, for example, one of the best trinkets you can get on this map is Tough. Tough reduces the damage taken from all sources by 1. So that's gonna block a lot of the 1/1s. It's gonna survive longer against any buffed 1/1s. It also completely absorbs the death rattle. You can also get a relic, the Doggy Biscuit, which reduces elemental damage. Usually I ban that because it's only useful against particular enemies. It also debuffs your own spells, so if you rely on elemental damage, you don't really want to have that. However, on this map, the Doggy Biscuit just completely shuts down the Death Rattle from the Razmeter's Fanatic. It also nerfs some of his other removal tools, so that's definitely something to look out for. I'm gonna get a little experimental with this one once again, so I'm not expecting to get S rank on the first try over here, although I said the same thing about Minimagul and it did work out. But against Kazoo, it's kind of hard to avoid taking a bunch of chip damage. I do have a plan, however. So there are lots of options if you want to add some kind of board clear tool, which is going to be very important. You want to have as many of those as possible. So Lieutenant Juniper, for example, has the Poison Puff Grenade. Nilmi has Firestorm Fury in her starting deck, and generally has the most options for spells that target every enemy minion. So also probably very workable choice. She can also get a lot of sustain with the Necro Hammer, and Kendo's Necro Hammer gives you +1 armor when minions die, and the Kendo can die twice. So probably a pretty good option. You do have to consider that the Doggy Biscuit, the elemental damage debuff, does debuff your own spells, although for something like Firestorm Fury it isn't even that bad. Makes the spell weaker, but whenever this spell doesn't kill anything, it summons more candles, which will give you more death triggers. There's also the yellow deck in general, which has Rain of Knives, draws 1, deals 1 damage to all, and is not elemental. Purple has a couple of board clears, like the Hellfire spell in Abraxas starting deck. Red, I think, is the one who lacks those spells the most. It only has Shipwreck, which destroys all minions, including your own, and is very expensive and not particularly useful because you often will need to play 2 board clears in one turn to truly clear out the board. So yeah, basically any other faction than red has a good number of tools. A Frost spell, for example, like Cyclone Blast, will work pretty well. Also Thorns as a relic is pretty useful. You can pick up someone like this Sprout Brambleguard, who is inanimate in tough, which is actually pretty important. Without inanimate, your tough minions will attack and get silenced from the difficulty modifier, and then lose that toughness that protects them against the little chip damage. However, Sprout Brambleguard doesn't attack on his own, so he can pretty much perpetually stall a lane. But what I'm gonna go for today is actually gonna be the trap deck. There are a couple of reasons for why I'm opting for the trap deck. First of all, notice how this relic says whenever a friendly minion with no abilities die, do the thing. So what if there was a way to give the enemy minions an ability? There are actually a couple of ways of doing that. There are 2 relics that add that ability. So first of all, there is the Frost deck with the Shiverborn Shingles. Whenever you cast a Frost spell for the first time in the turn, you give them a death summon a Shiverborn Slime for your opponent. That is you. Shiverborn Slime is a 2/2 that then resummons a 1/1. But I think that this option is a little inconsistent. You kind of need to be able to guarantee having a Frost spell every single turn. And the other one is the trap deck has the Spark specs. After you set a trap, merge a Tinker Bomb into a random enemy minion, then deal 1 pyro damage to it. So merge means you add the stats and the effect of a particular minion to some enemy minion. In this case, you basically give the enemy minion, whenever they die, they deal 3 damage to the respective hero. And they will also give +1 health, but they also lose that health immediately to the 1 pyro damage. Yeah, and if you can buff that pyro damage somehow, you might actually be able to immediately make that minion die as well. So this adds an ability to the minion, so that prevents the minion from resummoning. It also means that the enemy hero is gonna bomb himself. And the extension of that would be the ultimate. There are 2 ultimates. Either when you play enough traps, you transform your traps into Gearheads, which are 9/9s. You can pick up a Gearhead, make them even more powerful, maybe give them trample, maybe give them lifesteal. However, for this particular boss, I'm gonna opt for Foul Tricks. When the opponent has triggered 4 traps, so you need to play less traps than for the other ultimate, but you do need to trigger them, which shouldn't be that hard. You can choose the traps that will be triggered easily. And once you activate, you transform all enemy minions into 1/1s with a Tinker Bomb merged into them. And that in particular is very useful because the Kazoo's ult, once he summons enough groupies, fills the entire board with crowd surfers, which are going to be like 1/1s or 2/2s if he has a spell, or even 3/3s or 4/4s if he has the buff minions on the board. And basically the hope is that I can charge my ult faster than the boss, and then whenever the boss ults, I ult him back, make all of his minions just useless 1/1s, not only useless but actively counterproductive, because they will all deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. So once all of those minions die, he'll take 8 times 3, that's 24 damage. Basically, if I do that 2 times, the enemy is as good as dead. Now, how do I get the board clear? Well, there are the recall rockets. It's a trap that triggers when a friendly minion dies and then deals 2 damage to all enemy minions. So, very easy attack. It's also epic, so you can buff damage on it as well. There is a particular node on the map where you can buff the damage of a card and make it spawn another trap. I'm not sure if I'm able to put this on a trap card. But yeah, if it does work the way I think it does, then this is a trap that can gain me another trap, therefore allowing me to reuse my relic on the next turn, potentially chaining into another recall rockets. So that's board clear sighting in care of. And then there is another trap, not in the starting deck, but one that I'll hopefully find throughout the run, which is the magic, the mana diffuser, and that's basically a counter spell against a spell card. That's also quite important, because once you get to turn 5, the enemy is gonna play a spell that summons 4 buffed groupies with 2 damage and rush. So basically a 5-mana spell that can deal 8 damage to the face. Very painful, especially if you place a couple of those. Again, there aren't that many ways to counteract that. Spells are a lot harder to interact with than minions. The only way you can really deal with it is either sustain or get the mana diffuser in the trap deck. So with a 3-mana trap, I can diffuse a 5-mana spell. Of course, the main risk is that like for other enemies, you can't really control which spell exactly you're countering. You can only have one trap of any type on the board. So you can only counter 1 spell per turn. But as Kazoo basically only has 1 spell he can play. He does have a couple of other spells, but once you get to turn 5, he's most likely gonna spam that spell as much as he can. So even if I take out like 2 or 3 of those, that's gonna make a pretty big difference. So yeah, Intelligent Mischievous is also a decent trade combo on this map. Intelligent can give you a good amount of money in the casino. Mischievous can give you a free relic in the torture room if you so choose. Yeah, so for the most part, I haven't been convinced by the trap deck so far, but I think that there might be some very good traits that specifically work well against Kazoo. So let's go over relic bands really quick. So Crimson Flute, Dual Blades, like this bottom, not bottom, this upper section here. I didn't really change much. It's honestly like mostly standard stuff. Like I'm not banning specific neutral relics or specific Professor Gearhard related relics. Cinesut, Grog, and Rumble Ring are card generators I banned because they give me non-yellow cards, which are more expensive on this map. Blood Bangles, basically prevents you from taking damage when you play hothead minions. I'm not gonna play that many hothead minions. This also generates cards from other factions, so I don't want that. This is like basically the aggro relic. You draw 10 cards, but then you don't draw again. Yeah, this, after you play an expensive minion to shuffle more copies into the deck, is a bit slow. Yeah, this is chaos. So then trinkets, +1 health, I usually ban. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but mainly common minions usually don't care about +1 health, and uncommon and rare minions want better bulk trinkets like barrier or tough in particular is very good for this map, or +3 health or +2 health. Yeah, also Rune of Calling I always ban. I ban flying in this case. Not gonna be my damage solution for this one. I might be interested in taking off the Reaper Gambit. Extra minion spawns means extra blockers, which is definitely appreciated, and mischievous means I can pick up the Bloody Scalpel. So I put this on something I want to resummon over and over again. Yeah, that's she doesn't have any death rattle minions on her own, so the Bloody Scalpel is gonna be very precise in what it will resummon. And if I do have a death trinket, I might wanna take off Relentless as well. So I think that means I'll ban Swift Strike as well. It is kind of a bulk option, but I prefer having inanimate or tough. And lastly, Thorns might be good. I'll go over the starting deck soon. So if you're playing a lot of 1-drops potentially, then making sure that they can get good trades with the extra Thorns might be of interest. I think I might actually want to ban +1 power. For commons, I mostly care about their blocking potential. There aren't many like aggressive minions for the yellow deck. Well, there is the rushing crows, I guess. You get from the other trap relic. Rose feed or Craven Crow bird feed. Yeah, rush flying whenever you set a trap summon to these, although they've been changed to uncommon. They used to be common, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I think +1 power, because most of them not gonna play commons with things like Hothead or Double Strike. So I'm mostly interested in +2 Thorns. I could also ban the damage trinket. Similar reasoning as like health. I don't have any common spells. There is another yellow board clear spell, which is uncommon and would rather take +2 damage. Although I guess if I pick up something like Nilmi, not Nilmi, Lieutenant Juniper, it might be pretty good. I might want to ban both of them too. That would probably mean getting rid of Switch Strike. Not sure, there might be common spells I'm interested in giving more damage. So yeah, let's go with the starting deck. So starting deck is going to be focused on making sure that I have a trap I can play every single turn, since I want to get the relic that debuffs the enemy when I play traps. So I have Tinkertot, a 1-drop that draws me a trap and makes it cheaper, Recall Rockets as a board clear, and so that I immediately have a trap to draw towards, and Bookworm Bot, which redeems a trap and adds it to the deck as well, I guess. Although the redeem is the most important part, where I can immediately play it. Mostly hoping for mana diffusers out of these in the boss fight, but in the meantime, they can give me like whatever fits best for the situation. Thankfully, the trap card pool is relatively small, so if I see 3 of them in a redeem selection from the bookworm, but I should have access to something that is useful. I think that Professor Gearhard actually has a pretty good starting deck. Like, none of the cards are the kind of cards you never want to pick up. Book Beam transforms minions into 1/1 Cluckies. So if you're playing against something that plays big minions, then you can just completely negate those plays with the Book Beam. It's also pretty nice as a trap that pretty much always triggers. Pretty much every enemy plays at least 1 minion a turn. So if you have any sort of strategy that revolves around your traps being triggered, then Book Beam is also pretty welcome. Magitech Scholar, after a friendly trap is revealed, give your minions +1/+1. This one I really like for the aggro strat you can have with the trap deck. I'm talking about the bird feed again, where anytime you play a trap, you summon these 2 1/1 rush minions, and once your opponent triggers a trap with that Magitech Scholar on the board, they both gain +1/+1, so they'll attack for 2 on the turn they're summoned, and the next turn they'll attack for 4 potentially. So yeah, definitely a good strategy you can use there. Chambot is a 0/2 that adds traps to the deck whenever it's damaged, makes them cheaper as well. I think this is probably the weakest one, just picking up 0 power minions early on when you don't have the buffs to actually make them useful can just make you too slow in the first couple of fights. And then Gearhead costs 3 less for each trap you control, so costs 12 mana on base. If you play like 2 traps, it costs 6 mana, which is very feasible in terms of cost, and also pretty realistic. It's kind of hard to maintain more traps than that, but yeah, 6 mana for a 9/9 is pretty good with an epic tag, so lots of possible buffs. And the reason why you might want to put that in the deck initially is so that if you play around the Magitech Machination build, where you summon these from your traps, you can buff them as soon as possible. Make the summoned versions of these stronger as well. So, yeah, 1 bot, generate traps, draw traps, have traps. Signature minion adds a copy of each trap you currently hold in your hand into the deck, and then sets a trap every single turn. 3 HP, a little bit frail, but barrier means it can probably survive for at least 1 turn. legendary tag. Usually I don't find that much use in her, but it's alright, I suppose. There are a number of plate effects in the trap deck, so the Soul Spark relic could be pretty good as well, where you get the 1 mana spell that can re-trigger a plate effect every turn, get a trap redeem every turn, get a bunch of traps into the deck. So I think that's it in terms of preparation. Let's jump into the map. So the ticket node I'm looking for the most is the oddity shop, which gives me the damage buff and trap generation, and it is right here. After the second fight, means I can't fight the elite, Scalp and Ricky. So if I'm going for S rank, I need to fight the second half elite, which is Junk Gang, which should be pretty manageable. Junk Gang kind of has a hodgepodge of all kinds of minions. You can see like 3-color deck. Has a little bit of minion spam with those groupies and hooplas, has a little bit of ship cannons, some buffing with the golems. Yeah, but it's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. There are some late game minions that might be a little troublesome, but if I get 1 or 2 orc blasters, it should be very manageable. Torture Room is also here, so if I see any legendary minion and I can add a death rifle to it, then definitely interested in going there as well. I can also avoid it by going to a campfire, which might not be too bad. Good number of potential relic shops as well, which is pretty good. There are some secondary relics you want to see with the trap deck, particularly one that reduces the first trap played each turn. So for the first fight, I can fight Golden Guy or Brown Tooth. I think I'm probably fighting Brown Tooth. Recoil rockets work better against that guy, I think. Right, it's first turn. I don't want any traps in my starting hand because I want to draw them with Tinkertop, because they make traps cheaper, so I'm pretty happy with this. Oh, there's one of my traps, here's the other. And let's put another trap in the deck. I think I'll pick a Bolt Beam. Maybe Wolf Blast a nasty pirate he'll get from the Brown Tooth. So, important habit to have when playing the trap deck, especially with recoil rockets, is to make sure that this right lane has an open slot at all times. Because enemy combat goes from right to left, so the enemy on the right will always attack first. And I want my recoil rockets to trigger as early possible into the enemy turn as possible. There should always be a minion that I can place on the right to die. Reason why I want the recoil rockets to go off as early as possible in the combat turn is that if they go off and destroy all enemy minions, then the other enemy minions can't damage. So just some bit of strategy advice going forward, although right now it doesn't particularly matter. I think I'll just block those two pirates. Get some gizmo programs, I suppose. Oh, actually, I have realized I have the wrong ult equipped. So, just saw the 6, which is not the right counter. Again, I want to have the other ult, which turns all the enemy minions into self-damaging bombs. So let's load the map again. See if I'm this lucky the second time around. Oddity Shop is on the map. This time it'll force me to fight the first half elite, which are Brigade Bros. Brigade Bros can be a little bit tough sometimes. I think with recall rockets I should be able to handle them. They can spawn in a lot of extra minions. And let's fire Scout already, I suppose. Once again, I want to have my traps enter deck so I can discount them with the Tinker Tots. I'm gonna place one of my recoil rockets. I'm gonna place a Tinker Tot in this upper right corner over here. So this means on the next enemy combat, all minions die before the enemy gets off the rest of their combat damage. There we go. I'm gonna get another trap, which I guess I'll pick up another recall rockets. And then play another Tinker Tot. Immediately get the recall rockets and discount them as well. And the enemy didn't block the 3-3, so now I have lethal. With the amount of traps I'm generating, that signature minion was actually pretty consistent in laying extra traps, which is pretty good. So, first card reward. Neutral cards I don't care about. Another neutral pack with cards I also don't care about. Hard Mage could give me some health restoration, although maybe I see lifesteal later on. Lifesteal might not be too bad, I could put those on recoil rockets, which will result in a lot of lifesteal. Every single hit on another minion will give me extra life if I'm fighting the boss and I clear out a board full of 8 minions and I get like a damage buff on the recoil rockets. Then this is gonna be like 24 life. It does make the card more expensive, however there are a couple of ways of reducing the cost of trap cards There's a relic that makes traps cheaper. Tinkertop makes it cheaper. Professor Gearhard can cheat them out. So I'd definitely be very, very happy about getting lifesteal on this. So, and Hard Mage is just a little weak. Like, usually I don't want to pick that as my first card if there's still a lot of potential to get other sources of life gain. And Smithy isn't good right now because I don't have any spells. This, however, is pretty good. Double Cross deals big damage in a cross shape. Raining Knives deals area damage and draws a card, which is pretty good. Pilfer Pip is not that good. 1-3 Archer that deals damage to the enemy hero whenever he kills something, but he only has 1 damage. So unless you get some good buffs on that guy, he isn't gonna kill him now. But yeah, I'm very happy about picking up 2 removal spells. I can't always rely on the recoil rockets, so having some removal I can play myself is definitely pretty helpful. There's also a torture room. If I avoid the first elite, then I wouldn't get the oddity shop. Early torture room is actually pretty bad with Professor Gearhard. Usually you want to see it early, but since Professor Gearhard doesn't have any minions who have a death rattle on their own, I need to find the death rattle trinket before any of the trinkets, relics I see at this node are actually of any use to me. And since the death rattle trinket is epic, the chance that I'll see it throughout the run is rather low. So yeah, it's probably just relic and then do trinket shops. And then oddity shop somehow. Maybe get some extra money over here. Dribble fight can give me a source of lifesteal as well, although if I get extra card generation, something like Drivel, I might run into hand clock issues. I'm generating a lot of traps with my cards, so if I have too much card generations, I'm gonna overdraw pretty quickly. So I have 3 minion choices that give me the maximum amount of gold. That's interesting. So Nilmi gives me access to a couple of neutral minions. Announce Satsuki is a way to draw extra cards. Bang gives me some removal potential, a couple of bombs maybe. Raz does have a Regis Rabbit, which increases Draconic and Pyro damage. If I find the relic that merges bombs into the enemy minions and deals pyro damage to them, the Regis Rabbit might actually not be too bad. Just because it increases the damage that is immediately dealt to those bombs, so potentially the minion will immediately die and immediately deal damage to the enemy hero. It could be pretty good. Ideally, I'd be able to give this another Draconic and Pyro damage buff, but I don't remember a Hogwash Forge being on the map. If I'm going to find Drivel, it's also a good pick, since I can pick up and buff a power chord. This gives me some more removal. All of these are, of course, cards from other factions. But I think since I do have 2 trinket shops that I'll be going to pretty soon, I do want to pick up another deck to get the gold bonus. Trinkets can be immensely useful to prepare against the boss. Cost reductions, lifesteal, extra damage on something like the raining knives, tough inanimate on any kind of uncommon minion to make them a better block card. Lots and lots of ways in which trinkets improve my odds against the boss. So I'm a little hesitant to pick up Milmi, because I did ban +1 power, which is a pretty crucial buff for the Kendo. Kendo also costs 2 instead of 1, which is pretty substantial nerf for a 1-drop. Bang can usually deal with the cost increase pretty well. His cards are valuable even at 3 or 9 mana. Extra bombs can provide some good damage. Like, right now, my damage solution only works against the boss. Like, my ult very specifically counters the boss by dealing a bunch of damage to them, but yeah. For the elite fight and mid-boss fight, I might need Bang and his bomb ability. Bang is also always a pretty solid pick on this map, because once you get into the later turns and shuffle bombs into your own deck, Bang can actually turn that into an advantage. And Trap Deck might be something that goes long, so I don't want to blow myself up later on. So yeah, I think because of that, I'm gonna pick up Bang. See that I can remove Burst, no, yeah, Burst as soon as possible. And then fight either the Gearbot or the Dungeon Keeper. I do not want to fight the Dungeon Keeper. Dungeon Keeper and Brown Tooth are two fights you pretty much always want to avoid on this map if you can. So I have both Trap Relics and I have the Bomb Relic. The Bomb Relic doesn't do a lot for me. Shuffles bombs into the enemy deck. If I have armor, I don't have any armor gain, and any armor gain I am likely to get will cost me more. So I definitely want to pick up a Trap Relic, and of course I want to pick up the Spark Specs as planned. Although Craven Pro Bird Feed is not too bad either. Means that my traps generate block cards, but yeah. Spark Specs work against the enemy. The enemy relic. I've also played a couple of runs with Craven Bird Feed, so I want to see what Spark Specs can do. It does say after you set a trap, so I imagine that if the trap is set by my signature card, it will also trigger the relic, since it doesn't say when you play a trap card. So gonna look out for that and see if the wording works to my advantage here. Throw back the recoil rockets, throw back the burst. Guess I don't want to have the raining knives right now. Alright, I get the recoil rockets back. Well, 3 costs, that's a bit unfortunate. If I find the skeleton key this run, I definitely want to pick that up. Skeleton key is you draw 2 1/1 minions on your first turn and discard them afterwards. Drawing my Tinker Tots immediately will help me guarantee getting discounted traps. If I only have recoil rockets in the deck, it'll always draw recoil rockets, which is good. It's gonna be good against the boss, so. Taking a little bit of chip damage over here. Thankfully, the thin deck of the enemy means that they're pretty likely to die very quickly. Raining Nest unfortunately doesn't do much here. I'll just play another Jolly Bomber, see if I can rush out my damage with bombs. Ideally I would draw a Tinker Tot and get the recoil rockets down. Perfect. So it's only 2 damage though, so I still have to take care of the Glimmer Gearbot. Well, this is definitely getting played. And if I block the Junkbot, this dies, I take 3 damage. If I block the Glimmer Gearbot, I take 2 damage, then the Glimmer Gearbot attacks and everything dies, so yeah. Play the Tinker Tot in front of the Glimmer Gearbot. That doesn't matter unless they have some health buff, which they don't. Let's get some Gizmo provisions. Protect the Bookworm bot. Actually, the enemy will die next turn, either when they draw a bomb or when the Glimmer Gearbot dies. Yep. Almost lost my S rank here if I didn't draw that Tinker Tot, but it worked out in the end. So, seeing a lot of red cards here. This I don't particularly care about. Those, I guess this is a tough minion. Single target removal doesn't really interest me. Shipwreck's very expensive. I could pick up a Blade Bomb. It is 8 mana, but deals 3 pyro damage to all minions. And then adds a bomb for each one destroyed. If the enemy is gonna ult at some point late in the game, I can play the Blade Bomb to kill all of those and convert the enemy minions into 8 bombs. Which, if I follow that up with a bang, that's pretty much gonna be game. I don't want Blast, and I don't want Blast Guard though. So, just one Blade Bomb, please. -1 costs, draw on cast, and Thorns +2. So -1 cost is pretty important. Can I put... no, I can't put draw or anything. +2 Thorns is also very much appreciated. I think I'm gonna put that on the Tinker Tot. Allows them to get some good trades. -1 cost. On the recoil rockets, I presume. Goes to 120. So if I see lifesteal, that'd be 110. So I could afford lifesteal. It's also pretty good on the Bookworm bot. I think with the importance of board clear and the potential of getting a lifesteal trinket on it, I do want to see this on the recoil rockets. And draw is also pretty decent, but if I see lifesteal in the next trinket shop, I want to be able to afford it, so let's skip it for now. shows up again, so didn't lose much. Instead, I'm seeing +3 damage. I could put this on recoil rockets. No, I couldn't, right? It's epic. Yeah, would have been 5 damage to everything, which is pretty strong. I might still be able to make use of this though. Either bang. When you're not playing a dedicated bomb deck, +3 damage is actually pretty good for bang. Because it means you don't need a lot of bombs to make them in the game. Like if I play a Jolly Bomber and get 1 bomb shoveled into my deck or something, that's 21 damage already. I could also get Relentless. Relentless is kind of fun. Does mean that the Jolly Bomber is gonna cost 4. He'll add 3 bombs. Main risk with this is that he's likely to lose the second death rattle to this enemy silence. So maybe I don't do that. Yeah, I think I'll pick up extra bang. Ah, couldn't afford it anyway. +1 draw is pretty alright though. I can put this on the double cross. If I see +2 damage, I want to prioritize the raining knives with it. So yeah, let's just put it on double cross. Yeah, I think. Oh, that's some firsts. They definitely want to get out of the deck. I am risking to blow myself up with this play, but yeah, it's quite unfortunate. Now I can draw a 1-cost recoil rockets. I think I'm gonna play that immediately. And yeah, let's just get more of those. Ouch. I'm just gonna destroy the more expensive one. Can block the cheaper one. Don't remember what amount of HP I started with. I took 4, I took 2, and I took 1, I think. So I think I should be at 7 damage taken right now. Be unfortunate if I get Bulk Beam, but I don't really want to play my recoil rockets with nothing on the board, and with this being my last one. Don't really want to waste an Incinerate or a double cross any 1/1. And I don't want to risk getting myself blown up, so yeah, it was a clucky. At least I still have the Incinerate. I think I'll blow up both of the enemy minions here. Add another bomb. Yeah, if I don't see Bang very soon, this might be it for S rank. Wait, wait, I had a bomb to... Oh, did I kill a Jolly Bomber? Probably. Alright, that's one bomb. If I draw one bomb, it's over for S rank. Alright, I drew the Bang. That should be game. Yeah, 10 bombs, that's... No Clocky Beam. That was definitely glad I have that Bang. Takes care of the overkill as well, yeah. Minus 50. With the enemy copying my bomb cards that just ended up buffing my Bang, so... So I get a Mana Diffuse with a Nimble Ribbon. Interesting. Golden Lance, that's also a pretty cool one. If you have any trap set, it deals 4 damage among all enemy minions. That's pretty good against the boss as well, if I can give this inanimate and tough. Because it can kill like up to 4 enemy minions at once. Another Tinkertot I don't mind, probably. More bombs, Bomb Juggler to add more bombs, cheaper Blade Bomb with some draw attached to it. There's also Overgrow Trample, which doesn't do anything in my deck. This one's pretty good if you have any way of buffing it, really. Some Relentless Lifesteal isn't too bad. I mean, the instant mana diffuse might be helpful if I end up playing it early. I can counter some of the draw spells the enemy might play. And cheaper mana diffuse on any generated copy if, like, from a bookworm bot is also going to be pretty useful. So I think I'll take the whole package. Look at a free relic. Oh, that's a damn good selection over here. So Bloody Scalpel for free resummons of the Jolly Bomber. Swift Dagger, after your opponent plays their first minion in a turn, deal 1 damage to it. Pretty good against a boss that's gonna play a lot of small minions. Basically 1 kill every turn. Or trap tools. My first trap each turn costs 1 less. Also really good. Means my recoil rockets cost 1 or 0 if I draw them with the Tinkertot. I don't think I can ignore the Swift Dagger though. And your Trinket Shop or Campfire. How many Trinket Shops do I have? If I go to the Oddity Shop, I can see up to 3 more Trinket Shops. That's... And... I guess there are 2 Campfires, but only here towards the very end. And I do want to get rid of those bursts. They're pretty annoying to play as 2 mana. I don't have any lifesteal yet, so if I blow myself up, there's not much recourse. And I'm fighting Dungeon Keeper. Oh well, that's... that could be painful. Dungeon Keeper kind of puts you on a timer, because he'll bleed you dry eventually. I'm hoping that with Bang I can kind of counteract that. I do like having an Incinerate in my pocket. Maybe throw back the Recoil Rockets for now. And the Goldemancer. Swift Dagger already. Getting one minion. Don't think I want to play the Mana Diffuse right now. He might just waste the trigger on a Bloody Scalpel. I think I'm happy to just kill two guys. Also removing the barrier. This Swift Dagger already doing incredible work in this fight, gotta say. Yeah, if I block it with a 3, it will... If these are a thing, let's take a barrier. And then my Professor Gearhard has the maximum amount of variety to spawn. Put some bombs into the enemy deck. Guess I'll play a Bulk Beam. That could prove useful if he's gonna play one of his big minions. Oh, it's just a Doom Recruit. Interesting. Ooh. I did not realize, but I'm actually hard countering the Bloody Scalpel here. He's just gonna generate those Tinker Bombs which will deal damage to him, so just need to make sure that I'm not gonna draw another bomb. Nice. Actually a pretty smooth fight. Yeah, did not realize that Trap Deck would do so well against the Dungeon Keeper, but yeah, the fact that I'm putting death minions into his pool that he can resummon but actually damage him is really good. Alright, so there are a bunch of neutral cards, including a minion with guard, which is actually not too bad. Guard can be a pretty useful way of dealing with the rush part of the boss. Some armor generation. Some different kind of armor generation. Bomb juggler with guard and thorns. I'm not too impressed with any of these. Holden scales of the amount of cards you play in a turn. I'm not playing that many cards a turn. Sometimes I'm like not playing anything. I do like Gearhard, but I'd prefer to see it on someone a bit tankier. This guy effectively only has 2 health. This is much better, I think. So another Raining Nice with mana reduction is nice. Guard on a Heister Henry isn't too bad. He only has 1 health, but he does have a barrier. Another double cross. I could also pick up more mana diffusers. I mean, I did mention that mana diffuse is quite important for this deck. Gearhard with 2 trinkets that are rather useless for Gearhard. I think I'll get more mana diffuse. And look at a trinket shop. -1 mana again. I'll put that on the Gearhard, I suppose. Hothead is a pretty good thing for the Jolly Bomber. I do have quite a lot of cash, so let's get a restock. Ooh, rush and -1 cost again. Rush could... I do like the amount of -1 mana I'm getting. With all the cards I'm generating, that's definitely gonna be useful. +2 health is probably good on the Goldemancer, since he wants to stick around. I could put Rush on Bang. That's another 8 damage if I get him down. And I could put -1 mana on the Jolly Bomber. I think I like that. Means I can potentially play more Jolly Bombers in a turn. So now I don't have money for any more relics, so instead I'm getting some free money over here. Get some cards I'm not interested in, or just 50 more gold. And then fight Dribble. So Dribble gives me a Riff at a Draconic Chord. Am I interested in that? Guess I could put this on like a Tinkertot. There isn't much else I want to get for Tinkertot, and yeah, getting some lifesteal might be okay. I guess I'm fine with having Bang in my starting hand. Might finish the fight. I'm just gonna lay down a counter spell. Good, another counter spell in hand. Put down some extra traps. Already overdrawing, but yeah, that's mostly due to the crowd surface anyway, so. I might get that trinket. Yeah, I do have spaces for 2 crowd surface and a spell. So in this fight, if you win by filling up this volume bar, you get an extra trinket, and one way to get that volume bar up is to trigger 4 Rift minions in one turn and 2 in another turn. Basically, you get 1 bar per amount of Rift minions triggered at once squared. So if you trigger 4, you get 16, and if you trigger 2, you get 4, and you need 20 to reach the special win condition in total. Like this. So yeah, I guess I'll just give that to the Tinkertot. Throw that in there. Get another Goldemancer, yeah. Don't think I want another Blade Bomb. If I have it in my hand, it kind of just gets stuck there for the most part, so don't want more than one stuck in there. And yeah, I can get a discount because I picked Bang, that's pretty good. So damage +1, does that go on recoil rockets? It does, so the recoil rockets can now generate more traps, including recoil rockets that can generate then even more traps. And then Glimmer and Splurge would be a setup for something, but it would be quite an expensive setup, so next trinket shop, please. Ooh, inanimate and tough. That's a hard choice. Wish I would have more money. Ideally, I want to put both on the Goldemancer. I think tough might be more important. But yeah, now this guy is immune to all the little 1/1s. And if I see inanimate again, then he's also gonna be immune to silence. I do have one more chance to see it here, so could also go to 2 campfires instead. Actually, will I have enough money to get inanimate on this guy? Inanimate would cost 140. No, not getting there, unfortunately. Maybe should have. Maybe the rush was a waste of money there. So I guess I'm going to 2 campfires instead. I do have Lycia on the deck now with those Tinkertots, so that's something to look forward to. Yeah, let's get a trap. Rico Rockets is pretty good in this fight. This is kind of a mini version of the final boss fight. He has a similar deck, also based around spam. I'm just gonna put down my traps. Let's get a riff. Yeah, let's put down. I am having trouble triggering more straps, so it might be difficult to get the enemy to race the enemy to their ult. Although pretty soon I'm gonna be able to play the blade bomb. Actually, I just have lethal if I target the face. That's victory. Last chance to use the reroll. Nothing in here interests me. Yeah, a Bulk Beam and another Golem Lancer is pretty good. Magitech Scholar. Yeah, I'm not really relying on stat buffs, so I'm not taking this. Do you want to cut anything? I don't think so, right? I mean, Incinerate's it's not gonna be that useful anymore. Even if I do want to target a single minion, most of the time there'll be so many one-drops on the field that Incinerate can't target what I wanted to target. And if I do need single target damage, I can get it from the Tinkertoy. So I think burning the Incinerate is pretty good. It did its job. I think I played it once or twice. Yeah, I did it in the Brigade Pro fight. It was pretty good at that one. And we take another copy of Bang. I might need Bang to win the game for me. So I think I'll actually take another copy of Bang. Another copy of Gearhard also isn't too bad. Or some free traps. But I'm not struggling to play my traps right now. I have so much cost reduction on my traps. Alright, so let's go into the fight. Tinkertot I'm happy about. Mana Diffuse I don't think I need it if I have 2 Tinkertots in hand. And I draw 1 on turn 1, so I'll throw that back. Jolly Bomber is alright. Get my bombs going early. And more Tinkertots is also pretty good. Right. 3 Tinkertots, and I do have first turn advantage. Very happy about recall rockets. Very happy about getting rid of that hoopla immediately. I think I'll just get that down right now. killing those hoopers before they can spawn anything is a big boon. Don't want to play my Tinkertot, like this one. Because I do want to be able to get the Riff effect off, and I only have 2 more in the deck. So I'll just start adding bombs. Pressure the enemy a little bit. Counter spell would have been good. Let's put it down, I suppose. Losing a bomb there, unfortunately. Ooh, that's a pretty good Gearhard. I'm getting quite a few traps in the deck. I have 3 different traps right now in hand. And I'm putting down a Clucky Queen as well. Getting my ult ticked up. Next turn he might start getting mosh pits out, which is where he spawns a bunch of rush minions. That's something I wanna prevent. And I get put down a Golemancer. Unfortunately, none of the... yeah, prevented the mosh pit. That's very, very good. Would have been a lot of damage. I have my ult upped. Enemy still 3 away, so if he fills the board, I can easily counteract that. I think now it's time to get my Tinkertot. Get another mana diffuse, that's very good. Okay, that spell was a little bit of a waste, of course, but I do wanted to get that Riff effect. I guess I should have waited for next turn so that Gearhard would get 1 more attack. TM. Getting down the mana diffuse, and I'm getting down the board beam as well. Countering the mosh pit, that's the 2nd mosh pit. Great result. Just completely strangling the enemy here. No more... oh, 1 more mana diffuse in the deck. That's very good. How many bombs? 1 and no bombs. I'm keeping my blade bombs for next turn. Next turn he is likely to get the stage dive, which will fill the board. So if I keep my blade bombs, I can transform them into Tinker bombs, and then I can immediately blade bomb the board and clear it out, which will trigger all of the Tinker bombs and add a shit ton of bombs into the enemy deck. So let's do that. 1 more mana. Diffuse for the road. Yeah, let's just face. Immediately replace the power cord. Come on, give me 1 rupee. No rupees? Oh, that's also fine. Actually, do I have lethal right now? It's 2 bombs. That's unfortunately not lethal. But I can Tinker Tot power cord again. And I'll just Fog Beam again, in case he gets a Kazoo. He's at 1 card per turn right now, so basically he can't do anything anymore. Not getting his plate effect. And there's the stage dive. You've activated my trap card. A bunch of crowd surfers? No. Get chickened. Now, all of these have a bomb hidden inside of them. So there's the blade bomb. Boom. And now I add a bunch of bombs into the deck, but it doesn't even matter because they just go boom, 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 boom. Boom! Getting the overkill again, and that was... I think this is the smoothest Kazoo fight I've ever had. So I could not imagine how well that strategy would work. But yeah, that sort of control style you get from the trap deck, extremely effective against Kazoo. Like, I figured it would be good, but this was insane. So definitely a very worthwhile experiment. I do appreciate the trap deck more after this fight. Yeah, just the amount of card generation and draw you get to consistently get the trap cards you want. It is quite incredible, and yeah, Blade Bomb helped out as well. Like, Bomb deck did its job, incinerated a couple of Wicked Bros, bang, won a fight for us, and yeah, Blade Bomb to finish everything off. Very cool. Also quite resilient to the silence effect. This trap deck, because the traps can never get silenced by that mask, and all the minions mostly activate on plate. So this is the Starscape planes cleared with all difficulty masks and SS ranks. So I'll be moving on to Frostfall once I continue this series, which this one is actually my favorite map, just in terms of the events you can get, and in terms of the difficulty modifiers. They do make the game more challenging, but compared to Starscape Plains and Southern Seas, they are way less restrictive on what decks are viable and what aren't. Yeah, so I'm very excited to go over the Frostfall bosses, even though it only has 2. But yeah, very nice and clean. And guess I'll see you next time.